Hi students, I welcome you all for control system lectures. In the previous class, we have discussed what is a steady state error. We have derived the expression for a steady state error. Also, we discussed what is a static error constant and different types of static error constants like position error constant, velocity error constant, like then acceleration error constant. Also, we discussed type number of feedback system. If you have a pole on the origin, that determines the type of the system. If you have one pole on the origin, it is type 1, two poles, type 2, three poles, type 3, right? So this type actually determines when you have a pole on the origin. We also derived the expression for different inputs like step input, ramp and parabolic input for all the types of systems, right? So in this class we are going to determine what is the initial value theorem and final value theorem. This initial value theorem and final value theorem are very important topics in control system, because once you it actually conveys the information about the initial state and the final state of the system. If you are actually not aware of f of t, like suppose if you know the information of transfer function, f of s is known, and we don't know what is f of t, like f of t is unknown, and it is possible for you to determine the initial value of f of t. So see, on the right side you have a function f of t, right? The function f of t, the value where it starts can be determined if you know the information of f of s, right? So with the numericals you will understand in a better way, but as per the concept, f of s is known if f of s is known, and f of t is unknown, right? Initial value of f of t is unknown, and it is possible for you to determine the initial value of f of t by considering its limits, right? In limits of s. So initial value theorem gives f of 0 plus, that means initial at 0 plus is somewhere as soon as the system response starts. This is 0. As soon as the system responded to your input, that particular instant is referred as f of 0 plus. So f of 0 plus is the time here, the value here. At this particular state, what is the value, amplitude value, or what is the system response gain you are getting, is determined if you know f of s, right? So this is how you get initial value, and similarly the final value is the final state of the response, right? This is the final state of the response. If you know f of it's as same as the initial value, how we get initial value. If f of s is known and f of t is unknown, it is possible to determine a final value of f of t by considering a limit s tends to 0, right? Just apply the limit s tends to 0 to the function f of s. F of s is actually the transfer function of the system. If it is a transfer function, if you know that function, it is easy for us to determine the final value of the system, right? Here actually we'll do some numericals, then it will be easy for you to understand, right? Example 1, consider a simple system, f of s is equal to 1 by s plus 1, right? According to initial value theorem, f of 0 plus initial value theorem, use f of 0 plus is equal to limit s tends to infinity, right? When it is initial value, you have to consider s tends to infinity, right? S into f of s, s into what is f of s, 1 by s plus 1. Okay, we need to check is there any possible to segregate the function, right? Like we have to change the function in a way that we have to make the s terms separately. Like we'll check it if at all any possible to segregate it, right? In this function, what we can do is s infinity, We can take s common outside so that we can cancel out this s. Check it how it works. S into 1 by I mean s outside. So what we get here is 1 by s outside, 1 plus 1 by s, right? Sorry, 1 by 1 by s. So when you apply this s and this s will get cancelled out. When you apply infinity to this denominator s, what happens? 1 by infinity is 0, right? So this will become 0, and 1 by 1 it is 1. So initial value is the value where the system response starts. So for this function, initial value is somewhere here 1, right? F of t, it will start at 1. After that, you need to know the function. Based on the function, it will, based on the input you give, based on the input it may go anywhere, right? This, after this, the transient, it is not in our hands, but initial state of value we can figure it out by applying the initial value theorem. Okay, so this is how. Then for the same function, if you apply final value theorem, what happens? F of infinity is equal to limit s tends to 0, s into 1 by s plus 1. Similarly, we will take it outside and apply 0. Okay, I will write it separately. Limit s tends to 0, 1 by 1 plus 1 by s, right? So what if you apply 0 to the denominator? 1 by s, 1 by 0, 1 by 0 is infinity. Infinity, if you are adding 1, it is again infinity, and 1 by infinity is 0, right? 1 by infinity is 0. So the final value is 0. Final value is 0. So it may go any way, but see, this is the possibility for the plot to come. If you know the initial value and final value, you can actually determine the signal f of t. So we can interpret the signal, right? Similarly, we will do another problem. Example 2. Find f of s is equal to 3s plus 2s square plus s. S square plus s. So this is the function for initial value theorem. Applying initial value theorem, what you get? F of 0 plus is equal to limit s tends to infinity, s into 3s by 2s square. You can take 1s common outside, right? So what happens if I am taking common outside? This will become s plus 1, like 2s plus 1 actually, right? Write it properly. If I take s common outside, 2s plus 1, and s will get cancelled out, right? What another s is there, right? Here actually we can take this also, one more s common, and we can cancel out this s as well. That means we can take s square common. Okay, I'll write it again. S plus infinity, 3 divided by 2 plus 1 by s, and I am cancelling out the s and s outside. So I'll write it like you can cancel out here, right? So what if you apply infinity to this function? S and s will cancel out. You have only one s here. 1 by infinity. 1 by infinity is 0. So it is 3 by 2. Right? Initial value is 3 by 2. For this function, initial value is 3 by 2. Because yes, you are substituting infinity. 1 by infinity is 0. So 3 by 2. 3 by 2 will be initial value. Right? Similarly, if you find the final value for this, just apply limit s tends to 0 for the same function. You can repeat the whole thing, but I'll write the final step. F of infinity, that is equal to limit s tends to 0, s into 3s by, uh, I mean I am segregating here, I'll take s square 2 plus 1 by s. So s square and this s and this s will get cancelled out. What you get? 1 by 0. Apply limit to that function. What you get is 1 by 0. So 1 by 0 is infinity. So 1 by 0 is infinity. So 2 into infinity is infinity. 2 plus infinity is infinity. 3 by infinity is 0. Right? Anything in the denominator, infinity in the denominator will give you 0. So this plot initial value will be 3 by 2. 3 by 2 will be somewhere here and it may go to 0. Right? We come to 0. However it goes, this dynamics, it depends on the function. So if it is sinusoidal, it may go oscillations and may come down to 0. So it depends on the function actually. Right? So here the initial value is 3 by 2 and final value is 0. Similarly, one more example we can take. Do one more example. Example 3. F of s is equal to 2s plus 1 by 3s square plus s. So we'll try to do initial and final value, place initial value and final value for this. Initial value f of 0 plus, what you get, limit s tends to infinity, s into 2, like f of s, right, s into 2s plus 1 divided by 3s square plus s, right. So we can take one s common outside, right. If we segregate this s, this may go here actually. So in this problem we take only one s common outside. Limit s tends to infinity. If you take one s from here, what the function will turn into, 2s plus 1 divided by 3s plus 1, right. So just apply infinity to this function, infinity by infinity, right. Just by applying infinite by infinity, it is actually infinite. Initial value would be infinite. So actually, infinity somewhere we don't know where exactly the plot would be infinity, but actually over a period it will see at 0 it is somewhere infinity. We don't know what is this infinity error, but at the end, if you apply the final value, just apply and final value and check. Final value theorem. Yeah, limit s tends to 0. Just substitute s is equal to 0 here. What happens? 0, 0, 1 by 1. Right? And then what you get for this one is 1. Because when you are applying limit 0 to this function, it will turn into 1. So it will start somewhere at infinity but reaches the final value as 1. Right? So this is the significance of initial value and final value. By knowing the function f of s, we can determine the initial state and final state of the response. So actually here when we are considering initial value and final value, we have to check with the applicability, like for which systems we can apply this. What are the systems eligible like to work with this initial value and final value determination, right. So important to note is if the output converges at a single, then the final value exists actually. The important point here is see, for infinite we can't tell whether if you are getting the output as infinity, then we can't determine the system actually, right. So if the output converges at single point, at any real point, a single point, single value, then final value exists actually, right. So this is how we determine initial and final value. And what we check it here is for final value, if you get this kind of response, final value is 0, right? So there is a single value here. For this, if it is coming to 0, it starts somewhere, some a, but at the end it will reach 0. That means it is converging to 0, converging to a single value. So final value exists for this system. And similarly, if you have um, this kind of response, right? Say this is AR1 unit step response. So this is converging to 1. So for this kind of response also, you get final value. But what if you have responses like oscillatory? See, sinusoidal response. If your output is generating this kind of sinusoidal response, can you determine what is the final value for this system? Like it will be varying, right? Throughout the time period, it is not static actually, it is varying. So final value for this doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. It is undefined. Similarly, if you have a response like exponentially increasing or exponentially rising, let's see this kind of response, if you are getting parabolic kind of response, so final value would be infinity. Actually, we know the final value is infinity, but infinity means what? Nothing. Like we don't know actually where it ends. So for this process, final value is undefined or infinity. Infinity, and value will be infinity, and it doesn't exist actually, right? So to characterize this initial like final value, it is important for us to consider a S plane, right? See, we should know where actually this final value, initial value is applicable, like for what kind of systems they are applicable. So for that, we need to know S plane initially. Draw a little properly. Right. So consider an S plane. S plane is something which is having, sorry, okay. S plane is something which has real and imaginary plane. This is called imaginary, right? This is actually real and imaginary. Okay. This point, so if for the transfer function, actually this concept we discussed in the previous lecture also, but for I'll just do the recap of what is this S plane and what are the significance of poles and zero, like the position of poles and zeros with respect to S plane, and kind of stability we get if we are considering transfer function in S plane. So this is actually imaginary plane. This is actually real, and this is called right half plane. Right half plane. This is left half plane, right? And what happens is, we just write it down. This is called left half plane. This is called right half plane. This is imaginary axis. This is origin. Right? We'll segregate into this S plane into four types. One is right half plane. Second one is imaginary axis. Imaginary axis. Third is origin, or I can take left half plane. Fourth one is origin. Right? So if you have a poles on right half of S plane, then the system would reach unstable. Like system stability is determined by the position of poles. What are the poles? Actually, what is the generalized equation in terms of poles and zeros? G of S is equal to, actually we wrote it this equation in the previous class. I'll just give again. S into S plus P1, S plus P2, and so on. So in the previous class, what we discussed is type of system. If the S like if the order of S type of the system gives the order of S is determined by order of S. If you have S power 1, that is type 1 system. If it is 0, type 0. So this is actually pole position. So for example, if you consider pole, this is actually negative axis, right? This is actually negative axis, this is positive axis. If the poles lies on the left half of S plane, that is a negative axis, right? Then the system is said to be a stable system. Okay, if you consider g of S is equal to 2 into S plus 3 divided by S plus 1 into S plus 2, right? So if you get this kind of system, that means there is see poles and zeros, determining poles and zeros, how to determine the poles and zeros of the system. S plus 1 means S equal to minus 1, so you get minus 1 here, minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3, so on, right? So we have a pole here, we have a pole here. So if you get a transfer function in this way, this is actually a stable transfer function. Like there is a chance that system will get a stable response. If you are having poles on the right half of S plane, that means S minus 2 or S minus 3 or whatever. If you get a function in S minus with the real values, then the function is said to be reaching unstable, right? Then what if you have a pole at origin? We discussed here, if S equal to F, if S is actually having a 1, S power 1, that means there is one pole at origin. This meaning, the meaning of this is the system has imaginary, like I mean, the system is critically damped. That means there is a chance for the system to reach, it may reach stable region or it may go to unstable region, right? So if you get a response like this, then the system is said to have, it may go to unstable, it may rise like this, it may actually decay the oscillations and reach some settling. But for the functions with the origin as a pole in the origin, there is a chance it may go to unstable region, it may reach the stable region, right? So that is how we determine S plane. And now we consider final value, importance of final value and initial value with respect to the pole location. Pole location, right? So in first case, let us consider we have a poles on right half of right hand plane. So case one, pole on RH plane. Means pole on right side. Consider a transfer function 1 by S minus 2 actually. So if you apply inverse Laplace to this actually, what happens is you get E of minus E of AT, right? Inverse Laplace transform, you get E of AT, right? For this kind of response, what is actually exponential to AT means, if you plot a graph for this, different values of AT, for different values of t, if you substitute t equal to 0 to t equal to infinity, you will get the response in this way, right? So for this, if you apply the final value theorem, what happens? Just apply final value f of infinity, that is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into 1 by s minus 2, right? Keep the s outside, or just directly we'll substitute s here, s equal to 0. It won't make any difference because it is having one s on the numerator, one s on the denominator. Directly substitute s equal to 0, so 0 by 0, right? 0 by 0 is nothing but 0. But actually, this is final value, right? Final value is, it is according to the final value theorem, when we solve, what we got is 0. But if you observe the plot, it is actually going to infinity, right? So for this kind of systems, For the systems where the poles lies on the right hand side, this final value theorem is not applicable. So we have practically proved it here. We have considered one pole on the right hand side, applied final value theorem. What we got is zero final value. Final value zero means what? What kind of response we should get? We should get something like this. It should reach to zero. But what we got actually practical for E of at is infinite value. So final value theorem is not applicable if the pole on right hand plane. Right? So we'll take another case now. Second case, that is imaginary axis. Pole on the imaginary axis. This is the pole on right hand plane. Somewhere, anywhere on the right hand plane. Right? Imaginary and real. Right? So then in second case, case 2, consider pole on imaginary axis. Right? Pole on the imaginary axis actually produces oscillations. As we mentioned, if it is the imaginary or if it is at origin, let us consider if the pole is at imaginary. Consider one example for this actually. Let us consider an example. F of t, f of s is equal to 1 by s plus 4. Right? So what happens if you are applying an impulse input to this? Impulse input to this will give you 1 by s, right? 1 by s. Impulse is nothing but 1 by s input u of t is equal to 1. R of s will be 1 by s. If you are applying impulse input to this system, what happens is f of infinity, final value theorem. Once you apply the input 1 by s to this system and calculate final value theorem, what happens is f of infinity is equal to limit s tends to 0, s into f of s, right? S into f of s. And we are applying unit input. That means 1 by s to this. 1 by s. Right? Just substitute for unit impulse system. When you are applying final value theorem for this particular system, what happens is limit s tends to 0, s by s square plus 4. Right? Isn't it? Because our function is s plus 4. Okay. So what if you apply 0 here for s, right? It is also s here actually. You are applying input 1 by s, it will be multiplied on both the sides. Right? Then you are applying to this function, what you get? Final value theorem 0. But actually, what I am telling is when you are applying impulse to this function, you will get actually oscillations. If your poles are on the imaginary axis, will actually get oscillations. We don't know at what point the final value is about. Right? Throughout the system, we are getting oscillations. We can't determine the system as output as 0. Right? So it is actually final value theorem failing in this case also. So consider the case 3. Right? Left hand side, like pole on left half plane. Anywhere on the left half plane. Right? So consider a transfer function. Transfer function is equal to 1 by s plus 2. S equal to minus 2. So we are taking a pole at left hand side. That means stable pole, right? So for this function, if you are determining applying the inverse Laplace transform, what we get is e power some real value, e power minus some real value, right? So what is the exponential power minus real value. It is a decaying function, exponentially decaying function, right? It would be like this. So what happened is it is actually tending towards 0. The function f of t would be tending towards 0 as time tends to infinity. F of t tends to 0. So final value theorem, f of infinity is equal to limit s tends to 0, right? S by s plus 2, right? S into f of s. So just apply 0 to that. 0 by anything is 0. So it is actually working when you are having like pole at left hand side. Like if you have a pole, any poles on left hand side, like you can take any system of this type, like 1 by s plus 2, s plus 3, s plus 4, whatever it is, right? For any kind of systems where the pole lies on left half of s plane, then your actually your output in time domain is following your final value theorem. So final value theorem is validated, is proved in this case. Is actually working in this case. So we have another case, case 4, right? When you have a pole at origin. So what is a pole at origin? Pole at origin means the function f of s is equal to 1 by s, only 1 by s. Origin means the pole at origin means it is just an integrator actually. Integrator. So when you are applying say impulse response to this function, impulse is 1 by s. If you are applying impulse response to this function 1 by s, what happens? Output f of s is equal to f of s into u of s or u of t, right? Or r of s we can write, r of s we will write to make to avoid the ambiguity we will write r of s. Of s into r of s is equal to 1 by s square. What is 1 by s square actually? It is step, right? When you are applying a input of ramp input to the system 1 by s, what you are getting as output is step, right? So we'll apply final value theorem for this function. Final value theorem for this is f of infinity is equal to limit s tends to 0, s by s, that is equal to 1, right? We are actually, what we got actually from the plot is 1. What we are getting here is also 1. So final value theorem is working well with the poles at origin and the poles on left half of S plane. It is not working when you have poles on imaginary axis and the poles on right half plane. So for this particular case, all these cases, it is not working. Not working. And this is actually if is applicable, is validated, right? So this is how the based on the pole location, the final value theorem is applicable, right? And if you have like if all the poles are in left half of S plane, then actually the system is type 0 system, right? Because if you have any system like s power 0, s minus 1, s minus 2, so this way s equal to 1, right? So for this function s power 0 means 1. So there is no pole on origin and there are poles on right hand side, right hand plane. So for this final value theorem is not applicable, doesn't work or doesn't defend, is not defined. Okay. For the type 1 system, type 1 means what? Type 1 means S factor is 1. So for only type 1 system without any other poles on right hand side. If you consider poles of 1 by s or 1 by s square, 1 by s cube, how many poles you put on the origin, then final value theorem is working, right? Then type 2 and higher order, what is happening if you are applying for type 2 or higher than type 2? Type 2 means 1 by s square. Final value for 1 by s square means final value f of t is equal to limit s tends to 0, s by s square or s cube or whatever you apply here, and what happens? It is again 0, right? So this is actually tending towards 0, that means final value is applicable. Okay, so this is how we determine final value theorem with respect to type of system and S plane. Okay, so that's it for today's class. We'll meet you in the next class.